Get ready to rally with the Respect Yourself Forest Rally. Friday night on the Busselton foreshore, the awesome Silverstone Super Stage. Incredible action, live band, family entertainment, free entry. Saturday and Sunday, head to Nannup. Catch the excitement on Main Street. Then hit the forest to see the dirt really fly. Wild cars, wild drivers, championship rally action. Just $10 a day, kids free. The Respect Yourself Forest Rally. Friday, April 5 to Sunday, April 7. Call 93591199 for details. Get ready to rally with the Respect Yourself Forest Rally. Friday night on the Busselton foreshore, the awesome Silverstone Super Stage. Incredible action, live band, family entertainment, free entry. Saturday and Sunday, head to Nannup. Catch the excitement on Main Street. Then hit the forest to see the dirt really fly. Wild cars, wild drivers, championship rally action. Just $10 a day, kids free. The Respect Yourself Forest Rally. Friday, April 5 to Sunday, April 7. Call 93591199 for details.
Drive Time TV Forest Rally Special proudly brought to you by Subaru Australia All-Wheel Drive, Auto One, getting you into the right gear, Opposite Lock, four-wheel drive accessories, experience is priceless, Knox Warehouse, variety discount stores, The Motorworks, cylinder head and engine reconditioning, and Novus Windscreen Repairs, repair first and replace when necessary. Hi, welcome to our Drive Time TV Forest Rally Special. Well, this coming weekend, this area here will be chockers with rally cars as the nation's motorsport fraternity focuses its attention on the Busselton Nannup region for round 2 of the Australian Rally Championship.
Now, while you guys are watching it, I'll be driving it along with a number of other local contenders. Also on the program, we're going to catch up with some of the WA crews that are hoping to mix it with the big names in Australian rallying, and we'll also feature some of the crews that have already scored points in round 1 of the Australian Rally Championship.
Also, David will be looking at what the Forest Rally brings to Busselton's economy. Andrew will be checking out the differences between a standard and a rally-prepared Subaru WRX, and I'll be giving you details of our fantastic Forest Rally giveaway. Stay with us.
Well, the 2002 ARC is an important litmus test for the sport. The establishment of Group N as the ultimate formula this season to even out the competition, happening earlier than anticipated, almost by default really, thanks to the demise of the World Rally Car category when one of the 2 WRC drivers, Neil Bates, had his factory support withdrawn by Toyota this year, the manufacturer choosing to focus its motorsport budget on its tilt in Formula One. Despite the exposure and sales motorsport success can bring, the major factors stopping most manufacturers fielding a top category rally car, especially in the WRC days, were the huge costs involved in engine and all-wheel drive development. The fact that Group N as the new outright category is production-based, rallying has now become more affordable to the manufacturers, but the new rules go even further to make the competition even tighter. Now, the new format allows all the manufacturers to use their own body shells and chassis, but if they haven't developed a 2-litre turbocharged power plant or an all-wheel drive transmission, they have the option of dropping in donor running gear from Subaru or Mitsubishi, who both realise that there's a lot of value in more competition from a larger number of manufacturers in the interests of making rallying bigger and better. So theoretically, we could see a Holden in the winner's circle in years to come, but I don't necessarily mean a Monaro, but more like an Astra with donor running gear from a Mitsubishi, for example. The new regulations also extend to allowing models not available to the Australian mass market to compete in the ARC, SAYAT, one such example. But while it may be a couple of seasons before we see manufacturers take advantage of these new regs, the fact that seeded or top-ranked drivers must drive a Group N or prototype or PRC class car with restrictions should make this season a close one. So it was no wonder all eyes were focused on Sydney a few weeks ago for round one, the Harbour City Rally. Not only was it the first round raced under these new regs, it was also the first time a national round was fought out in Sydney for about 30 years. If round one was a sign of things to come, it will be a very close season. The Harbour Rally, the first time in a long time that privateers performed on an equal footing with the factory-backed teams. Simon Evans, Stuart Warren, Osamu Yamaguchi and Michael Guest all taking out stage wins. However, it was defending Group N title holder Subaru's Cody Crocker and multiple champ Ed Ordinsky who gradually edged ahead of the pack. Ordinsky's precision the deciding factor, taking the outright win on the first drive in his brand new Lancer Evo 7 in what is likely to be one of the model's first Group N victories in the world. So as the teams head to the Respect Yourself Forest Rally, Ordinsky rolls into town with 41 points, Crocker with 32, WA-based Kiwi Warren the first of the privateers with 22 points, and Yamaguchi and Mitchell with 20.
If you're into rallying and you think you've seen this sign somewhere before, then you're right. Broad Constructions are the major sponsor behind WA's leading rally driver Stuart Warren and the Ultimate Motorsport team. Now, it's obvious that the man behind the sign has a certain passion for the sport. He rubs shoulders with fellow Finn rally star Tommy Mäkinen in his spare time.
Well, being a Finnish person, it's been bred into in the mother's milk into us, and it comes as a part of the person when you are Finn. I think Stuart will clean up. I think he's done so well and the car looks fantastic, and he's ready to win his first rally, I think, in the Australian Championships.
There's so many shoes to choose from, but I'm not just here on a shopping spree. There is an ulterior motive. What have these got to do with Stuart Warren? This is Ultimate Motorsport owner Ross Lockhart's business. Ross, how and when did you team up with Stuart?
Stuart's been with us since I retired some 15 months ago from car racing. He's done a very, very big job for us, and we're very proud of him. It's taken him 12 months to get used to the car, I guess, and for the car to get used to Stuart too. And it's a team thing. We've put it together now, and I think Stuart can go a long way, and I think he's proven that in the last later events of last year, and the event that's just finished, the first of the ARC rounds.
So what about the person everyone's got such big expectations for, Mr. Warren himself? Stuart, how did you originally get into rallying?
Well, I started off in motocross, doing junior motocross in the early days, and then I went into navigating for my uncle and then my brother. And I thought, I can do this, so we had to go ourselves, doing a lot of club events and then into the national series in New Zealand, and then worked up into doing better ones in international events. So it's been a long time now.
In fact, it's been nearly 20 years in the industry, and New Zealand-born WA-adopted Stuart is poised to make his mark on the Australian Championship scene. His Evo 4, the surprise package of the recent ARC round in Sydney, winning the Privateer Cup for the event and a fantastic third outright. What's your actual motivation behind it? What was it that made you get into it in the first place?
Well, I just like the competition, and driving fast cars, it's good fun. Like, anybody can go skidding on the gravel in their road cars, but it's really good to do the competition stuff. I'd like to win if I can, so that's what keeps us going. You've got to head for the top.
The team very keen for the 100% reliability of the rally car to continue, busy working on the gearbox, drive shafts and brakes to prepare for the Respect Yourself Forest Rally.
We did have a good finish at Sydney. There's so many people that could do very well, like the top 12 cars and guys are really fast. So we'd like to run in the top 6 and hopefully end up third again, or in the top 3.
So when you're checking out the Forest Rally next weekend, don't forget to look out for the Ultimate Motorsport red, white, yellow and blue Evo 4 of Stuart Warren. Cheer on our local champ, but blink and you'll certainly miss him.
The The Forest Rally certainly attracts plenty of visitors for Rally Weekend, and with them comes their spending money. But local businesses are already benefiting well before the fans arrive, with the rally teams and the media contingent setting up their headquarters in the week leading up to the event, bringing some serious hustle to Busselton.
Teams like Subaru will bring 20 people over for a week, and other teams are bringing 5 or 6 people over for a week.
Now, one of the first priorities for rally teams and fans alike is securing a spot to crash after a hard day's rallying. So anyone involved in the business of accommodation here in Busselton is a good barometer of just how much the rally actually impacts on the area. Now, Aidan Midgley is the General Manager of the Geograph Bayview Resort. Aidan, tell us, how much does the rally actually impact on your figures here?
Well, it's great for the resort. The period leading up to the rally, we have about 10 days where the competitors are here preparing for the rally, and then after the rally we get clients coming back for their holidays. They've seen what a wonderful place Busselton is and they come back.
Small businesses also notice a pick-up in trade, especially on Rally Weekend. Situated in the centre of town, Better Electrical and Gas is in a prime position to keep tabs on the influx of rally fans and to make the most of the opportunity.
Last year there's a lot of shop fronts done up. We did our fronts and everyone sort of, the Chamber of Commerce got behind it. When you see the amount of people, it's got to have a positive effect. It's got to be good.
Those in the auto parts game even find themselves dealing with the actual rally teams.
They always sort of seem to leave something behind. Jerry cans, there's always something that the guys have come unprepared for, or have a bit of a bingle around one of the bends and sort of that sort of thing.
The benefits of more people spending more money isn't limited to Busselton, the rally affecting much of the southwest region.
Oh, people come in often for the first time for the rally, and then they start looking about them and seeing the sort of countryside we've got here, and they're drawn back as tourists.
The Cape Naturalist Tourism Association estimates the Forest Rally brings in around $500,000 of economic benefit by the end of the event. But according to the association's Barry Brown, the benefits are ongoing. The media coverage of the event bringing the southwest to the rest of Australia and attracting more visitors to the region.
Any exposure that we can get out into the wider community to people around Australia is obviously a huge plus for the town and for the whole region.
Now, to make the most of the event, businesses need to know what's happening when, and so do the fans, of course.
On Friday night we have a super stage around the Busselton foreshore, which is bringing the rally to the people. And on Saturday we get out into the forest where the real action happens, and there's some really good spectator points out on the Cundernut Road over by Kirrup, and then later on at the Nannup Golf Club, and then late in the afternoon at 4 o'clock we have a little stage around the Nannup Sports Oval that's going to be some real fun and plenty of action with the locals come out to see. And on Sunday we get out there again, and there's another spectator point early in the morning on the Bridgetown Road, and then back to the golf club, and then we finish back at the Nannup Sports Oval at 4 o'clock.
Well, there you have it, all the insider knowledge on the best spectator vantage points. So get down to Busselton and check out these rally shenanigans for yourselves. And while you're here, spend loads of money, won't you, and do your bit for the local economy. Drive Time TV Forest Rally Special proudly brought to you by Subaru Australia, Auto One, Opposite Lock 4-wheel drive accessories, Knox Warehouse, The Motorworks and Novus Windscreen Repairs.
You know, rallying would have to be one of the most gruelling forms of motorsport to both man and machine. And although the competition vehicles may look like the road-going versions, there are of course some pretty serious modifications made to allow them to tackle the rough conditions time and time again. So let me show you some of the basic differences between this road-going Subaru WRX and its Group N rally-prepared counterpart. With the majority of Australian rallying conducted off-road, the suspension plays a huge part in the setup. Now, if you tried some of those stunts in this standard Subaru, it probably wouldn't get you much more than about 10 k's down the track. And apart from competition struts being fitted, substantial strengthening work is done to the suspension pickup points to allow for this extra load. In most cases, metal plates are welded to the inner guards where flexing and stress cracking occurs. The strut towers are also reinforced to stop the suspension units from punching right through as the vehicle lands off a jump. The standard strut unit is physically smaller than its rally-bred counterpart, has a softer spring rating to give you some comfort, and has non-adjustable valving. where the rally bred unit, as you can see, is much beefier. It has a 50mm shaft diameter, heavier duty springs with a variable rate, but the most important part about this unit is it's infinitely adjustable. With the constant pounding the suspension endures, not only is strength an issue, but the changing road surfaces from rally to rally require different settings. Bump and rebound are the two critical ingredients that can be changed on competition struts when required. That's achieved by adjusters making it possible to slow down the rebound and increase the bump pressure. During testing, these settings will be moved backwards and forwards until the teams are happy. They're pretty clever bits of gear. Rallying is all about going as fast as possible between 2 points using the least amount of elapsed time. It requires plenty of acceleration, but also some very quick stopping, so braking plays a major role. With Group N having to maintain the standard braking system, only the brake pad material is changeable. Well, from stop to go, power of course plays a huge part in rallying, and the turbocharged power plants fill up the pointy end of the field. Interestingly enough, the turbo on the Group N rally car is actually less efficient than that of the road-going version. The reason for this is to keep parity in the field by controlling the amount of horsepower output. The sports regulations require that a restrictor be fitted to the turbo inlets, effectively reducing the amount of air available to be pumped in, hence reducing the power. The size of the 50mm standard inlet is reduced by inserting a sleeve or restrictor, 32mm in the case of Group N, with 34mm being allowed for Group A and World Rally cars. But even with this restriction, up to 300 horsepower is still achievable. With plenty of power under the right foot, the next trick is to get it to the ground. The WRX Subaru is of course all-wheel drive. To assist with having the right gear for the right corner comes down to ratios. Again, with Group N, the standard gearbox must be used. However, ratios, gear material and cut may be changed. Standard gear sets are Synchromesh helical cut type. To up-spec them for rallying, we use closer ratios and slightly wider gears for added strength. The next step would be a dog drive gear set. These being super strong straight cut allow for clutchless gear changing and left foot braking. Earlier, we talked about controlling power by restricting the turbo intake. Now with that in mind, you may be wondering just how the rally cars perform better than the road version. Although there's several mods, like a straight-through exhaust system that assist with the performance, it's right here in the programmable engine management system that much of the extra horsepower is developed. The standard engine management sensors, controlling mapping of the fuel, ignition and boost, can now be adjusted via a programmable computer fitted in place of the original ECU. Well, I hope that's given you an insight into what makes a rally car. Technology developed for motorsport certainly filters back, helping manufacturers like Subaru develop some of the best road-going vehicles around.
Well, as you've come to expect from us here at Drive Time TV, we're always on the lookout for great competitions for you to win. And considering this is our Forest Rally special, this week is no exception. If you're all pumped up with the Forest Rally action you've seen so far on the show, then this will be right up your alley. We're giving one lucky viewer the chance to get inside the TV set and experience the thrills firsthand. Thanks to us here at Drive Time TV, the Respect Yourself Forest Rally and some very special friends, you'll be enjoying a weekend of high-octane action. To get you started, 2 VIP tickets for the rally weekend, including passes to the forest stages and infield access at the very exciting Silverstone Special Stage in Busselton. And once you come back down to earth after all that rally excitement, take a look at where you'll be staying. A luxury studio villa at the magnificent Geograph Bayview Resort. Accommodation for 2 nights, why not admire the picturesque grounds, check out the restaurant and bar facilities and party on at the indoor or outdoor pool. To get you all worked up even further, the Pit Stop Bookshop will throw some great rally videos your way, plus the magnificent Rally Yearbook 2001. Throw your weight behind the Subaru Rally crew when you visit the stages, because that's what you'll be wearing. A Team Subaru Australia pack is all yours, including a hat, jacket, t-shirt, fleece and picnic set. Now you're going to have to get here, and if you are travelling, why not do it in style? Thanks to Great Car and Boat Rental, one of these tidy packages could be yours for the weekend. Able to choose from an extensive range of exotic sports tourers, your trip in itself will certainly be memorable, whether it's a Honda NSX, TVR Chimera or BMW Z3. So get your pens out and express your entry to Drive Time TV Rally Comp, PO Box 1, Mirrabooka, 6941 or drop it into the Pit Stop Bookshop or visit your local Novus windscreen outlet. Good luck.
Recent changes to regulations in Australian rallying means that the 2002 Championship could prove to be a watershed year for WA rallying, with the return to a level playing field as Group N becomes the premier class. The reason I say that is that if you look at the history books in the 20 years prior to the introduction of World Rally Cars to our championship, which effectively made it a two-horse race, you'll find that the West Australian drivers took out the bulk of the awards, in fact 7 in total. Isolation certainly hasn't been a factor in the technology race either. The field of machinery that makes up a WA Championship round would be the most impressive in Australia, with four-wheel drive turbocharged contenders taking up the majority of the spots in the impressive start lists. Further proof of our commitment to the sport is the recent arrival of Mitsubishi's latest weapon, this Evolution 7 Lancer. It's only one of a handful in Australia and the only one in Western Australia, and it's about to undergo full rally preparation. State champs Dennis and Jackie Dunlop take the step up to the latest Evolution after great success in recent years.
We've used the Evo 3 for 3 years now, and we've had an excellent run. The car's very reliable, but it's getting old, and we made the decision after looking at the figures and looking at the adverts for the new Evolution 7 car that we were going to stretch the budget and buy an Evolution 7. With
the Dunlops sitting out the Forest Rally, there are many eager to take up the challenge for state points. Memories of last year's nail-biting finish to the title still fresh, defending champion Heritage Senior will start favourite for major points. Hoping to make amends for a disastrous 2001, young gun Alex Stone is keen to prove he has what it takes, and he will be mixing it with regulars like the Flood brothers in the well-prepared Impreza. The Anderson team will want to continue their good 2001 form, as will Simon Lingford in the very powerful Evo 3. Regular top 10 runners like Webber and Tosterman will fly the Subaru flag in the Twin Legacies. The Motorworks entry of Neil Herbert, keen to get a good start with a fresh turbo to breathe new life into the campaign. The action has been aplenty in the off-season, with new mounts for some drivers to definitely watch out for. With some local runs last year in the Westec Racing VR4 to get up to speed, proven driver Matthew Knox steps up a gear with the recent purchase of a Group N Evo 3. He joins my team with a full assault on the WA Group N title. A new car for Ross McKenzie, another proven front-runner. He'll be moving to a WRX along with Lee Hines and Shane Daru. Team Subaru's Heritage and McNeil will join yours truly in the grab for WA Championship points. The Respect Yourself Forest Rally, a good one for me last year, with an outright ARC finish and podium points in the WA Stakes. Now don't forget to keep an eye out for the spectacular two-wheel drive action of Fever's Flying Escort and the ARC champ Andrew Hannigan.
Well, don't forget, it's all happening right here this coming Friday night, Saturday and Sunday in Busselton and Nannup. Now also, don't forget, get your entries in for our VIP competition where you can get up close and personal with the Forest Rally action. We'll see you next week right here on Channel 10. Bye for now.
Drive Time TV Forest Rally Special was proudly brought to you by Subaru Australia All-Wheel Drive, Auto One, getting you into the right gear, Opposite Lock four-wheel drive accessories, experience is priceless, Knox Warehouse, variety discount stores, The Motorworks, cylinder head and engine reconditioning, Novus windscreen repairs, repair first and replace when necessary. Also thanks to EMI for music used on the program. This has been a Black Olive production for Channel 10 Perth.
Time to take this show on the road, a long road across the nation. And a long climb back into the championship for some of the hot contenders who dipped out in round one. Time for the would-be challengers to dust off, step up and show Crocker and Ordinsky that they don't own this championship. For the pointless Possum Born, time to earn some respect. And where better than the Respect Yourself Forest Rally. Welcome to the historic timber town of Nannup in southern Western Australia, where the main street here has been transformed into a massive service park once again for the Respect Yourself Forest Rally. An unusual situation this, where hundreds and hundreds of tourists can actually wander around the souvenir shops and at the same time get a rare insight into the workings of an Australian Rally Championship round. And on that subject, this rally is 8 stages for Heat 1, over 99 competitive kilometres. It starts on Friday night, finishes on Saturday afternoon. Heat 2 is Sunday. It's all forest stages. There are 6 of them and 95 competitive kilometres. Before we take a closer look at this location, let's refresh your memory on an exciting first round of the championship. Round 1 was stunning testimony to the new look of Australian Rally from the very first stage on Friday night in the centre of Sydney. Sam Yamaguchi's chart-topping drive opened the door for a variety of results across the next few days. When they surged into the forests to complete Heat 1 on Saturday, Simon Evans showed pace before breaking down, and that ended his weekend. Michael Guest crashed after a pace note mix-up. Possum Born, another victim. In his case, it was repeated tyre failure, but the attrition rate was high as they all struggled with this new event. Ed Ordinsky was smooth and fast all day and beat arch-rival Cody Crocker for the Heat win. Stuart Warren third. The pattern was repeated in Sunday's Heat 2 when Bourne's bad batch of Pirellis again let him down and more drivers succumbed to the stony roads. Guest was an exception. He recovered from his Saturday slip-up to leap onto the podium ahead of Stuart Warren. But Warren's consistency across the weekend gave him the overall third placing behind Ordinsky and Crocker. This rally is based in the southwest of Western Australia, where I can assure you Nannup is not the only attraction. Busselton is the heart of a thriving tourist area. Greg Rust goes exploring.
Nestled on Geograph Bay, 230 kilometres south of Perth, is Busselton, one of West Australia's most idyllic seaside getaways. Established in the 1800s, Busselton used to be one of the busiest ports in WA, and a legacy of its early industry still stands. A massive jetty extends 2 kilometres out into the bay and is among the biggest in the Southern Hemisphere. Busselton's a great base for this round of the championship.
It's the mecca of the holiday area of WA, with the Busselton, the Margaret River, the beaches, the coastline.
Making a 40-minute trip further south along the coastline is thoroughly recommended. It's here you'll find one of the key attractions in the Busselton Shire. Set amidst the lush green pastures and forests around the Margaret River are some of Australia's best wineries and vineyards. It's peaceful and picturesque here, the countryside beauty complemented by some of the most spectacular beaches in Australia. For crews from the east, this area is a must-see before heading home. Travel inland from the Margaret River or Busselton and you'll come to the small township of Nannup. It's also known as the Garden Village, and this place almost doubles in size while the rally's on. The main street of Nannup is closed off during the event and becomes service park, allowing locals to get up close to the cars and competitors. Our stay here may only be a short one, but it's long enough to take in the quiet character and charm of this historic town before heading back to the base each night at Busselton.
Now, when they gave me the brief for this yarn, they said, we want you to capture the essence of Busselton. Get to know it intimately, they said. Well, we have, and here's the proof. This is Gelato Bonissimo, one of only a few places in Western Australia that makes fresh Italian artisan-style gelato every day. There are 30 different flavours to choose from, and they're all made with fresh local produce. Things you've got to do in this job, huh?
They're the backbone of motorsport all over the world, but this year the restructuring of the Australian Rally Championship gives privateers a prominence they've not enjoyed before, a prominence they truly deserve.
It's being described as the beginning of another golden era in Australian rallying. Many of the sport's big names are already comparing it to the good old days when privateers had a genuine chance of taking outright victory.
I guess years and years ago, when rallying first started, when I first started, you could run a private car and still be in contention for that, but certainly with the technology of World Rally Cars, that certainly changed, and now it's sort of come full circle.
Privateers will tell you it's tough to find a budget that's big enough. This season, it's commitment that's making up the deficit.
Mate, yeah, it's pretty hard. It's quite I mean, average cost to do one event would be in the vicinity of $20,000, so you really do need quite a bit of help to come and do all the rounds this year, which we're hoping to do.
Yeah, like our budget's minute compared with their budget. Like, we're really struggling, so if we can get up there behind them and beat them in a few stages, it's really good for us. It keeps their motivation going.
Local knowledge was Ross McKenzie's trump card, and he planned to make the most of it.
Oh, extremely hard. We've maxed the credit cards just to get here for this event and put the car together, but it's a shot at the ARC. We've got to be in it and have a go.
There's no substitute for determination, something Simon Evans knows well. The Sydney DNF wasn't part of the Evans script for 2002, but he still proved more than a match for the factory outfits. The preparation for Perth was flat out, and Evans actually drove the team truck across the Nullarbor. When a gearbox problem surfaced during a shakedown ride, he refused to let it dampen his enthusiasm.
That's another thing with rallying, you've got to learn to drive around problems. Yep.
John Mitchell was another Sydney standout. The inspirational drive rewarded with additional sponsorship and even greater motivation from the team.
I probably nearly would have thought, we'll give it a miss. But I'd say it was more the team said, come on, we can do this. We're going all right, let's get over there.
It was a very disappointing first round for Simon Evans, one of the leading privateers in this championship, but after the break we'll find out how he goes as Busselton breaks out. We'll start this rally on your home of motorsport. This was the team to beat as competition began in the Respect Yourself Forest Rally in Western Australia. Ed Ordinsky and Ian Stewart. The first two stages were evening stages in the coastal town of Busselton, where hundreds of tourists were gathered to see the spectacle.
Super special stages bring rallying to the people. In Busselton, it was a carnival. Better than 8,000 people turned up for the 2.4 kilometres around at the Silverstone Tyres Super Special stage on the shores of Geograph Bay. The stage was largely bitumen except for one gravel hairpin, and that's the one that caught most people out. Most teams started on buffed tyres. Michael Guest's Michelins were virtually slicks. Dust and the setting sun blinded the first cars through the hairpin. Several spun. John Gawasdaway was one. Guest with new co-driver Julia Rabet curb jumped back to 19th position. Simon Evans was untidy, but still a 1 minute 52 set the early pace.
Fast left 380, chill out.
Scott Petter's first start in the new Evo 6 Mitsubishi was tidy and quick. A 1 minute 50 was equal fastest. When the sun plunged into the Indian Ocean, visibility improved. Short track specialist Osamu Yamaguchi took advantage, equalling Petter. And unhappily seeded at 21st, Stephen Shepherd made his claim for an upgrade, also seizing equal first. It was an incredible opening burst. 3 teams tied for first and 2 for fourth, all of them young guns. The established stars were back in 6th, and 8 cars were locked together there, including Bourne, Crocker and Ordinsky.
With the benefit of hindsight, it could turn out that a good time here determines the result of the event, just like any other special stage can.
No, it's never a problem on these early stages. You know, we've lost a few seconds, but I'm sure I'm hoping we'll make it up in the longer stages. Like this is 2 kilometres here. That's quite a significant time to lose in 2 kilometres, but you'll find that we'll be within seconds of everybody on a 20-kilometre stage. So this 3 seconds is going to mean nothing.
1, go. 120, turn 4 right at T.
Stage 2, a second pass in darkness, and Bourne immediately carved 2 seconds off his first time. teammate Crocker was a second quicker again, a time equalled by local ace Stuart Warren, John Mitchell and a fast improving Mark Pedder. For Ed Ordinsky, a small lose was all it took, no improvement. Sam Yamaguchi attacked the stage. Total commitment resulted in a 1 minute 48. But then came Simon Evans. His brake discs blazing, Evans took 2 seconds off Yamaguchi and 6 seconds off his first pass.
I was stoked when we got to the end and they told me the time. I couldn't believe it.
Less than 5 kilometres and Evans and Yamaguchi were tied in the rally lead, and they were an amazing 4 seconds clear of Stuart Warren and Scott Pedder. Cody Crocker was 5th. Possumbourne, Dean Herrich and John Mitchell were tied in 6th. Ed Ordinsky 9th, 8 seconds off the lead. His Mitsubishi teammate Spencer Lowndes 16th.
So a great result for Scott Pedder as he makes his start in the 2002 Australian Rally Championship. But of course the forest stages were still to come, a lot longer, a lot more demanding, and the base of course was this service park in Nannup.
Nannup was the centre of competition on Saturday, with 6 stages being run in the surrounding forests. Ferndale the longest at 22.5 kilometres. It would be run twice, and crews also got a second look at the 18k Ellis stage. In Western Australia, being first car on the road can be a disadvantage. Just like the World Championship round, Car 1 invariably has the tough job of sweeping the roads clean and leaving tyre tracks for the opposition to follow. With no insurance round up his sleeve, Possumbourne had little time to worry about the starting order. What he desperately needed was points.
Long 4-5 right over crest. 30.
SS3 was to prove a major turning point in the fortunes of several big-name drivers. The normally bulletproof Subaru of Cody Crocker and Greg Folletta began to develop an engine problem 5 kilometres from the stage end. The WRX gave up the go in sight of the finish, putting the Group N champions out of contention.
It looks like we've blown a piston. It feels like we've blown a piston. We stopped about 50 metres from the finish line and we got the marshals to push us out because it's a pretty fast and dangerous bit of road. So at least the car's out now. Maybe if the rally continues, we'll be able to start tomorrow if they can fix it, but I'm pretty doubtful.
For Michael Guest, a flu virus was now starting to take hold. The dust and heat probably weren't helping. New co-driver Julia Rabbit wasn't affected. Perhaps we should call this girl the assertive lass.
And extreme danger, medium right, long tightens. Fast K right, minus long tightens.
Ed Ordinsky's had plenty of success in the West, particularly the WRC rounds. His smooth, precise style was almost inch-perfect in Leg 1. The objective, to protect the championship lead.
Narrow grid, hug long 5 right. Downhill.
Judging by the impressive split times on Stage 3, Simon Evans was on a mission. Sadly, a brake problem forced him to abort.
3 over grid, 80. Cut.
With almost no brakes, they eventually limped to the finish, dropping 9 minutes in the process.
The front left brake caliper actually snapped its mounts and came off, so it jammed the wheel up right at the spectator point. The spectators did a bit of a show, but so I had to get out there and we pulled the wheel off, removed the caliper, put it back on and drove out with no brakes.
Stuart Warren and Darryl Judd were hoping to capitalise on their Sydney effort, but they almost had some unwanted visitors along for the ride.
To a left 9. Watch the roof. Got him. It's okay, it's okay.
Dean Herridge and Glenn McNeil dropped 1.5 minutes after a minor excursion bent a lower control arm. Spencer Lowndes was left chewing Herridge's dust. This stage marked the arrival of another serious championship contender, Scott Pedder adding his name to the growing list. He nailed the third stage in 14 minutes and 54 seconds, the only driver to cover the 22 Ks in less than 15 minutes.
Oh, the car's fantastic, can't fault it. It's a massive difference to what I had last year, and I'm happy to put the runs on the board first up.
The seesawing fortunes on this brutal stage continued. John Mitchell, another casualty. Then came the news that every competitor and rally organiser dreads. A scrub fire had somehow broken out and was spreading fast.
Up here at the bus now. Do you want me to do anything up here?
We need the bus to stand put until the fire units have gone through. Over.
The stage was immediately stopped and fired back to the Nannup service.
The wind is gusting to up to more than 30 knots out here. That's great news for the competitors because it's clearing the dust really quickly. But for the bushfire that started on Special Stage 3, it's an absolute disaster.
It's not clear what sparked the fire, which happened at this point along the Ferndale stage. Competitors who didn't start were given a notional time of 15 minutes and 30 seconds. This was adjusted throughout the afternoon, giving drivers an average time for SS3 based on their performance in the following stages. When the fire was eventually contained, Stage 4 got underway, Stuart Warren pressing on despite a rising temperature gauge.
This is the hottest it's been. Yeah. You're up to almost 110 now.
Simon and Sue Evans refused to let the Stage 3 setback get them down, the hard-charging Victorians tearing through Ellis until this.
Something wrong with the motor.
Then right one over, Chris.
Knocked out.
It cost them another minute they desperately didn't want to lose. Possumbourne and Ed Ordinsky shared the win on this stage. They were a second faster than Scott Pedder, with Michael Guest fourth, just ahead of Scott's brother Mark Pedder. The 11k Healthway stage followed, and Ed Ordinsky tried to straight line it as best he could.
10, 7 right, short 8 left. Into 7 left on crest, crest straight. 50.
Bourne was now right into the Group N groove and took fastest time, 7 minutes and 13 seconds.
But it's all about being confident with the car, and at the moment, that confidence is not at 100%.
A drive like Scott Pedder's put in would have been overlooked with a couple of World Rally cars out in front, and to see that the Revolution has brought out the best in people like Scott, and old Possum and I struggling but in there, you know, we'll give it a shot for sure.
Scott Pedder took a 7-second overall lead into the Nannup regroup. Possumbourne was having a much better run than Sydney, but with Ed Ordinsky only 2 seconds behind, he couldn't afford to relax. An overheating problem dropped Stuart Warren to 9th, and Dean Herridge was playing catch-up in 15th.
Some of the big names are struggling already in the Respect Yourself Forest Rally, but thankfully, unlike Heat 1 in New South Wales, Michael Guest is having a little bit more luck. This extraordinary battle continues after the break on your home of motorsport. Welcome back to Heat 1 of the Respect Yourself Forest Rally, which is turning out in much the same way as Heat 1 in the New South Wales Rally, a war of attrition, except there are bushfires even on this occasion. Team Subaru once again having problems but doing a lot better than they did in the first round of the championship. Let's go to the finish of Heat 1.
The fire had cancelled the second pass through Ferndale, more than halving the remaining competitive distance. For Possumbourne, the 7-second gap to leader Scott Pedder was now a huge margin. He'd need to close at better than half a second a kilometre.
And because we're going through this stage a second time now, it should be even Stevens, and you know, it's a lot, but we'll give it a shot.
Can you afford to go now to the wide tyre and maybe a bit softer?
No.
With just 19 kilometres to cover, Pedder went for a full soft Yokohama, sacrificing durability for speed.
I know that I've had the pace over both of them at the start of the day, and all I've got to do is just do what I've been doing, and hopefully that'll be enough.
The new Super Series calls for teams to make 2 passes over each stage each day. As first car on the road, Bourne had already swept the 18-kilometre Ellis stage in the morning.
These are the famous WA ball bearings that line a typical forestry road that you see down here. And this morning, Possumbourne was in the unfortunate position of having to sweep the road clean for everyone else, and that affected his times. But this afternoon, it could be a very different story.
Bourne charged. With a huge rooster tail of dust trailing him, the Subaru team leader was 24 seconds faster than his first pass. It wasn't his drive, though, but the dust which decided the heat. third on the road, Ed Ordinsky was simply blinded.
Then 7 right, into Little Crest and clip turn 4 left. Right, downhill 100. 5 right, open 7.
His time of 1 minute 30 seconds was 17 seconds slower than Bourne. The message for Scott Petter was blindingly obvious. He was a second slower than Ordinsky. Still ahead of Michael Guest, but his 7-second lead had been turned into an 11-second deficit. Only Bourne had had a clear road, and he'd made the most of it.
I said to Mark, make sure the belts are tight, let's have a go. And we went for it and it went our way. They had a little bit of dust, helped us a little bit, bit of everything. And it was a great run. It got one corner wrong in the whole stage, so I was pretty happy.
The dust caused midfield compression. Just 5 seconds covered the battle between the Works number 2s and their privateer competitors. Spencer Lowndes and Mark Petter tied the stage with Dean Herridge just 2 seconds down. Sam Yamaguchi another 3 seconds back. Stuart Warren, struggling with an engine way down on power, was now clinging to 9th place.
And right 9 opens to a 10 and tightens to an 8.
There is an option of probably pulling the head off and seeing if it is a heat gasket problem, which we can maybe seal it up and put it back on again, but that means we give away our points from today. So, you know, we're going into tomorrow with an unknown, so we won't really know. So we're probably better off to get back tonight and get our points and just see how it goes from there.
The final 0.8 of a kilometre around the Nannup Showground confirmed Bourne's victory.
And short 6-7 left over crest 80. Turn 2-3 left. 40 over finish. 4 right and 4 left. Watch the exit.
He was second fastest, equalled by Petter. It had been a huge run from both drivers. For Bourne, a return to the winner's circle and a pair of milestones achieved. The 50th win for the Subaru-Pirelli combination in the Australian Championship and the first win in the world for the new Subaru WRX production car. For Petter, second should have been a disappointment, but that's not the way he saw it.
To be on the same roads as people like Ordinsky and Bourne is pleasure enough, and to be in between them like a sandwich is a dream come true.
It was a big day for the Petter brothers. Older brother Mark was to finish 5th outright, locked in a duel for the privateer's lead with Michael Guest in front and Osamu Yamaguchi behind. Just 8 seconds covered the three going into the final set. Guest blasted away. He opened half a second a kilometre on his pursuers to win the privateer section. Simon Evans, of course, was quicker than all of them. In last place, the Evans team would not give up. Their blinding pace in the Ellis dust was quickest behind Bourne, and they were equal first at the showground.
And if we're going to have a chance to win tomorrow's heat, we've got to do the best we can right now and set the car up so it's handling better and doing everything right.
Less than 2 minutes separated the top 10 finishers. It's not that close in the World Championship. By claiming third, Ed Ordinsky had moved further ahead in the title point score. Mitsubishi teammate Spencer Lowndes in 7th had fulfilled his role of neutralising Subaru's Dean Herridge in 13th. And yet another new star had emerged. Scott Petter had made a big impression.
A terrific effort, and a real pity to see him having, held it together all day, taken away by the dust. No doubt in my mind that's what caused the result. And I'm sure Possum would be saying the same thing.
I think this is just an example of how well the championship's working now for somebody like Scott Petter to finally surface up, and just adds another contingency in the championship where somebody else is a chance of winning.
Back at Busselton, Cody Crocker's rally was officially over. Engineers had removed the engine and found the block was beyond instant repair, and the rules don't allow replacement.
Yeah, these 2 heats, we get 0 points, and that means that every round, every stage, every corner counts for the rest of the season, so it just means we can't put a foot wrong.
The big question, though, with Heat 2 upcoming, were Crocker's problems a warning for the team?
No, we have no concerns about that. I think this is just one of those things that happens, and everybody has that sort of a problem every now and again. Now, we'll know a little bit more once we've dug a bit deeper.
In round 1 in New South Wales, Pirelli tyres were having all kinds of problems. No one was quite sure just why, but they did know that Possum Bourne was copping the most of it. John Smales looks at how Pirelli is turning it around in Western Australia.
Bourne's Leg 1 win was a big relief for tyre maker Pirelli. In round 1, the Harbour City Rally, the official supplier to both Subaru and Mitsubishi, had watched in concern as one after another the works team's tyres delaminated. In the circumstances, Ed Ordinsky's Sydney victory on Pirelli had been very lucky. After the blowout in Sydney, Pirelli went to amazing lengths to try and fix the problem. They sent tyres to Europe. A World Rally Championship tyre test in Cyprus was used to try and destruction test the tyres. Their fix, still not absolutely known, but they've sent 137 new cases to Australia for the Respect Yourself Forest Rally. For Pirelli Australia's technical manager Simon Poole, the test results from Turkey brought good news and bad news. Fears that the tyres had a manufacturing fault had been allayed.
Well, it wasn't a batch problem. We've tested that batch, we've tested tyres from the other batches and we've got tyres that we've run since and testing that it hasn't shown up on. We're using the same batches here, the same batch here, and we haven't had a problem.
But that meant the real problem still had to be found. Cody Crocker's co-driver, Greg Folletta, is one of Australia's best suspension engineers, a skill employed by his team, especially when it comes to assessing the opposition.
It's a pretty close type of situation where we do look at the other competitors and try and second guess what they're going to do, and also use the information from their stage times and the tyres that they're running to give us the best choice for our next group of stages.
For Poole, the answer lies at least in part with the unique conditions which existed in Sydney. Long stages, high speeds and massive heat build-up.
In Sydney it was 42 kilometre stages, average speed for probably 30 of them was 5th, 6th gear, over 160 kilometres an hour, and it was the spring rate, it was the tyre bouncing that was causing it to heat up too much, causing the tread package to come loose.
For Greg Folletta, there's an underlying challenge in the new cars being used in this year's championship. They're heavier and the intense level of competition is encouraging radical suspension settings.
We've got all these Group N cars running so close, the tyre is probably the thing that makes the difference. And it just shows you how critical it is to make that right choice, because if you don't make that right choice, well then anything can happen.
They were the revelations of round 1 of the Australian Rally Championship, Stuart Warren and Daryl Judd. After the break in the Respect Yourself Forest Rally, we'll see how they go in Heat 2. Welcome back. This is round 2 of the Australian Rally Championship, and time now to go inside rally. John Smales takes us to the hallowed time control, the hub of all rallies, and we find out how and why those precious seconds are tallied.
Synchronised and sealed, the time control clock is the heartbeat of a rally. It's the ultimate arbiter. It controls the progress of each car, whether it's in active competition, on a liaison, locked in parc fermé or in service. From the time you start a rally to the time you stop, you're on the clock. A rally stage starts at the entrance to time control, proceeds on to the competitive section where it's timed to the second, then enters a liaison which must be completed in a prescribed time at road legal speeds. Time control limits the opportunity for illegal service. In other words, its demands on your time are so stringent that there's little opportunity to cheat. The co-driver is the key. He or she can enter the time control at any time, but the car can be called in only 1 minute before the team checks in. It's absolutely critical. Book in just 1 second early and you're penalised a full minute. Booking in late carries a lesser penalty, 5 seconds for every minute you're late, which is why occasionally teams use that rule tactically to improve their road position. There's just 3 minutes allowed from check-in to competitive start. A short time, really, to complete the paperwork, get belted in and move to the starting beam. Jump the start and it's a 10-second penalty. Leave late and you're allowed just 20 seconds before you're disqualified. The key to it all is matching records. A road book for the crew, a control card for the officials. If the two don't match, then the crew is in big trouble, which is why the co-drivers spend so much time getting the paperwork right.
The driver bends the car and, oh well, you know, he tried, he has to do that, but co-driver makes a mistake and your name's mud for a while. Not that I've done that, but that's what I expect.
Time now for Heat 2 of the Respect Yourself Forest Rally, and the pressure building on the leading contenders as they try to continue their collection of precious points and stay in contention for the championship.
Heat 2 comprised 6 stages, which would again be run in the forests around Nannup. It also contained the longest stage of the event, Brockman, just over 25 kilometres long and scheduled to be run twice. John Mitchell wanted to put the previous day's DNF behind him and make the most of their long trip to WA.
Oh, I'm going to go flat out today. It's I'll look at it's a long way to come 20th. Like the team say, let's have a go still, so we'll hopefully get a good result today.
Stuart Warren was third in the championship coming into this round, a position he would lose by day's end. Yesterday's drop in engine power and a rising temperature gauge pointed to a blown head gasket. Warren and co-driver Darryl Judd had to perform emergency and very makeshift repairs just after leaving Parc Fermé.
We're just going to try it this morning. If it overheats in the first stage, we'll just pull out. So we've got to give it a go. The temperatures are a bit cooler this morning, so we're here for points, so we've just got to give it a go.
An overnight shower changed the nature of the game for Leg 2. Dust wouldn't nearly be as bad as the day before, but the much-needed rain would soak in enough to substantially improve grip. You may not have said much about it before setting off, but Simon Evans' incredible pace spoke volumes.
Fast left, 1.5 long over crest, 150.
Simon wasn't just racing the clock or the opposition, he also seemed to be caught up in a personal battle to shake the monkey off his back. Michael Guest wasn't worried about monkeys, he wanted to introduce Julia Rabbit to some native Australian animals.
Crest 30, turn wide hairpin left.
Fossumbourne had been spurred on by the previous leg win, but the change in road conditions prompted a rethink on how to attack the remaining stages. Controlled aggression with a dose of full commitment was an excellent start.
Short 6 left, 60.
Ed Ordinsky gave his all in Heat 1. Armed with a hard compound Pirelli tyre, today's approach would be no different.
Turn 3 left. Then 3 left edge, 100.
The Brockman stage was the end of the road for Sam Brand. His Subaru destroyed when it rolled into a ravine. It was a sad finish to a gutsy campaign which netted 10th outright the day before. Michael Guest battled on despite his worsening flu. A puncture on SS9 would test his strength.
Okay, left, flat left over long crest, 100. Got 15 kilometres.
He dropped almost 1.5 minutes and drew on all his reserves to get back to service, where he contemplated retirement.
You know, I'll push the thing home if we have to, but you've got to be sensible too in this economic climate, and if we can sort of better off to park it here now and concentrate on the next one. So, like, we got 4th position yesterday. That's some good points, but yeah, you know, poor old body. I must be getting old or something, but I've just about had it today, I've got to tell you. So.
Simon Evans won the stage by a margin of 9 seconds from Ed Ordinsky, with Fossumbourne only 1 second behind the championship leader. Scott Petter was 4th, with brother and teammate Mark Petter 5th. Spencer Lowndes wanted a better result than 6th, but knew how important the manufacturer's points were to Mitsubishi. During the 16-kilometre volley stage, Sam Yamaguchi tinted the copybook, literally.
Hit a bank of trees. We're about 50 feet down a gully, but luckily reverse gear, and we're very lucky, straight up back onto the road and into it again. Great driver, isn't he? Always the navigator's side. Simon
Evans continued his spirited drive and took out the second stage of the day as well. The Victorian revelling in the slightly damp conditions which seemed to suit his Yokohama tyres. This time, Possum Bourne won the almost inseparable battle with Ed, and by a margin of 2 seconds. Scott Petter was fourth. With the anti-lag system switched off and a head gasket held together with an additive-based engine sealant, Stuart Warren should have been right off the pace.
Yep, and right 9, tightens to a fight 5, then tightens to a 3 off camber, uphill.
He was fifth fastest on the stage, the cooler conditions helping immensely. Ed Ordinsky dug deep in the final stage before the regroup, taking a 1 second win over Evans and Scott Petter, who shared second fastest time.
There wasn't much left in it, I could say that. I was hoping it would be really good. I kept it tidy. Sometimes you run the risk of losing a bit of time, you know, so I don't know whether I could have done better or not.
You try your hardest and you get to the end of the stage and it's 1 second, you know, like I can't drive any faster than that. That's 10 tenths, no more. So for Ed to do a 6:56, he's on the limit. So I think it's going to be hard to catch him.
We're still in the lead.
Possum Bourne was only 1 second further in arrears, with Michael Guest fifth. There was plenty of concern in the Subaru camp. After Cody Crocker's engine problems the day before, suddenly Dean Herridge's car had suffered a drop in power, and he was 13th outright.
The problem is the boys have had a look around and there's nothing visual and it's not doing anything out of the ordinary. Maybe it's the tyres, we're not really sure. We've changed for that. It's improved our time very slightly, but we're having to push pretty hard to get those times.
Evans held a 16-second lead over Ordinsky, with Heat 1 winner Bourne 1 second further back. Scott Petter was fourth and Spencer Lowndes' consistency earned him fifth place. Like Sydney, this rally was set for a nail-biting conclusion.
So the battle begins again. When we come back on your home of motorsport, we'll take you all the way to the finish of the Respect Yourself Forest Rally. We're back in the service park at Nannup, the hub of the Respect Yourself Forest Rally, where incidentally more than 30 state entries have joined the National Championship field for this exciting event. Let's go all the way to the finish now of Heat 2.
It was the most extraordinary heat in the history of the Super Series. A privateer was running away with victory, and the big guns were left fighting for the placings. The second pass over the 25-kilometre Brockman said it all. Evans headed the field. Even with the car jumping out of fourth, he was still 4 seconds up. And Scott Petter was second, 3 seconds ahead of Bourne, 4 seconds clear of Ordinsky. At the last service, tyre choice had been critical. Facing more than 40 competitive kilometres, a long way, Ordinsky had taken the hardest Pirellis possible. Bourne went to his 2001 tyre stock and chose a medium compound. The old tyres were a known quantity in a critical situation. Evans and Petter were both on soft Yokohamas, and Petter had just had a warning. For Scott Petter, it was a get out of jail. Lying fourth in the event, his tyre completely delaminated, but it happened on the transport stage. 2 stages now remained, 16 kilometres. Evans was 24 seconds ahead. Bourne and Ordinsky were tied for second. Petter was just 2 seconds behind.
Pressure's on now. I'm more nervous than anything going into this. This is the most nervous day of my life.
Fast right 2.5. Left 1, 100.
Nerves or not, Evans attacked. He was 3/4 of a second a kilometre faster than his first pass over the aptly named Folly, and he put another 2 seconds on the field. Incredibly, Bourne and Ordinsky tied the stage. Now just the Nannup Showground remained, and the two champions had less than a kilometre to resolve second place. Scott Petter fell back. He was still a second a kilometre faster than his first pass, but he dropped 4 seconds to the duelling Titans.
I thought if I can get 5 seconds there, then maybe, you know, we've got a chance, but it was only 2 and 4 seconds, so in the end that wasn't enough. It's pretty close.
To be fair, Bourne and Ordinsky are still developing their new cars. They each have to come to terms with an active centre differential being used for the first time. Their cars both weigh more than Evans. Ordinsky a massive 80 kilograms. But on the day, Evans was simply the best. Around the showground, he was equal fastest.
Line finish. Right 2, left 3 to stop.
9 drivers tied for the stage win, perhaps an all-time stage record. Bourne and Ordinsky were amongst them. They'd come equal second in the heat with Pedder fourth. Evans' heat win was the first by anyone other than the Big Four, Ordinsky, Crocker, Bourne and Bates, in the 6-year history of the Super Series.
I think there might be a quiet drink tonight with the rest of the boys, but I'm feeling fantastic. I guess I still can't believe it. So I'm glad that last 800 metres is over. That's the most nervous I've ever been in my life. So.
Look, it's an honour to beat guys like Possum and Ed and Cody and Guesty. You know, like those guys have done so much in their careers, and I'm shell-shocked, mate. It's just an awesome feeling.
The fight for the privateers was almost as intense. In 6th outright, Mark Pedder led the charge, but just 24 seconds separated the 5 privateers in contention. John Mitchell had dropped out, his brake disc cracked and his car failing. It had nonetheless been a big learning experience.
Yeah, it is definitely a good learning experience, and I'm paying the price for not getting any miles yesterday, I think.
Yeah, is it worth coming though?
Oh, bloody oath. Yeah, no, we're wrapped.
In a seesawing privateer battle, Martin Lintott was the one most likely to catch Pedder. Ultimately, he finished just 14 seconds behind. John Goasdaway was attacking Lintott. The gap at the end, just 7 seconds. Young Queensland find Chris Atkinson was on a charge, up from 11th to 9th, and finally just 5 seconds behind Goasdaway. Stephen Shepherd succumbed to a last stage charge from the Works Subaru of Dean Herrich, dropping to 11th. For Herrich, a 10th place was good news in a car way down on power. The privateers' heat win clinched category victory for Pedder for the entire rally. A year after his rally debut, Warwick Brooklyn carried the Daihatsu Charade home to win the Formula 2 class. Co-driver Linda Long relieved.
He would like to push harder, but it's no point at this rally, and for us, the main aim is to go away with maximum points. It's a nice buffer for Queensland.
Now with 5.7 litres of V8 power, Dave Thompson won Aussie car, but not without drama.
Yeah, we punched the roll cage up into the roof a little bit and moved it back over. Passenger side door won't shut, but it was passenger side, so it doesn't really matter.
Such is the pace of the championship that the top West Australian team, Alex Stone and Diana Maddalena, were 15th, yet only 3 minutes off the outright winner. Simon Evans' win is a turning point for the national title. Bourne and Ordinsky's tie is unique. Pedder's 4th place earned him a position on the rally podium. It had been an historic event. 5 works cars and 5 privateers comprised the top 10. But a privateer won and a works car was 10th. Without doubt, the championship had taken on a new dimension.
The day belonged to Simon Evans, the weekend to Possum Bourne, his 5th consecutive win in the Respect Yourself Forest Rally. He is in the Group N game. Let's go to the podium where John Smales talks to the top 3.
For the second time in 2 rallies, a new team on the podium. Scott Pedder, congratulations, it's a great effort.
Thanks, fantastic feeling. The competition's just so close. It's a credit to all the organisers for making the Group N title. It makes it much more interesting.
Ed, you're in the lead in the championship, but what a way to get there.
Well, it's just been an unbelievable day. You know, I drove as hard as we could go, probably one of the hardest rallies I've ever driven in, to come 3rd or 2nd. But you feel like you've won. It's been a fantastic event, and, you know, it makes being at the lead of the championship, I guess, something you value highly, you know, because if you've got to fight for it, it's worth winning.
Possum Bourne and Mark Stacey back in the winner's circle. How do you feel?
A lot happier than I did at the start of the weekend, that's for sure. No, good team effort, you know, huge being able to run at the front and be competitive both days and to win the rally, it's just fantastic. Best tonic for us all, you know. It gets the enthusiasm and excitement back into it, and we'll be up and rearing to go at the next one.
An 11-second win to Possum Bourne. He breaks through for the first time in this championship. And Scott Petter, what a comeback from a honeymoon. Second place ahead of Ordinsky on the podium. After Heat 2, a 26-second win to Simon Evans, but Bourne's second place alongside Ordinsky, giving him the victory for the round. Scott Petter, once again, very quick to be in the top 4, and Gwazdaway in the top 8. So the overall results for the Respect Yourself Forest Rally give the points to Bourne by 6 from Ordinsky, which is a solid result in terms of the championship. And Scott Petter, what a great debut, and can he continue it for the next 4 rounds? Simon Evans finally gets some points in the championship, and Yamaguchi and Atkinson make up the top 8. In the Privateers Cup, what a contest. Mark Petter with 32 points out of the rally, John Gwazdaway with 24, but the result between Gwazdaway and in 8th place Stuart Warren, very close. Points after round 2 of the championship. Ed Ordinsky has double that of his nearest rival, Possum Bourne, and more so to Cody Crocker, who was the man who chased him all the way in round 1. But from 2nd down to 8th, very, very close contest. Even outside the top 8, Simon Evans only 3 points away, and Lowndes and Mitchell not far back either. In the manufacturers contest, Mitsubishi has a 20-point lead over Subaru. That battle is far from over. Of course, it continues in Rally of Canberra, which is not a round of the Drivers' Championship. And Proton did not contest the Respect Yourself Forest Rally. That's why they have simply 40 points. Another extraordinary contest in this revolutionary season of Australian Rally. Let's look ahead now in your home of motorsport. The next event is not actually an Australian Championship round, but it will be a continuous learning curve and more intense rivalry. The Asia Pacific round, the Subaru Rally of Canberra from the 3rd to the 5th of May. Don't forget the telecast on your home of motorsport on the 12th of May. That's a Sunday. Check your guides for details. But for now, on behalf of the entire 10 crew, it's goodbye from the Respect Yourself Forest Rally.